How to successfully begin a first draft. You've set aside some time to write. Now's the time to tackle the first draft of your work. A lot goes into the first draft, but it's the most important to get started. I'm Pat Iyer. I've written or edited over 800 books, chapters, articles, case studies, or online courses. Imagine that blank screen or piece of paper. Can you think of a more intimidating sight? Not if you're a new or even an experienced writer. How do you break through the intimidation? Think of yourself standing at the edge of a body of water, like the Atlantic Ocean, right behind me. Knowing you will be shocked by the cold water. You can either slowly edge in, suffering a little at a time, or take the plunge. If you're taking the plunge and you're writing a nonfiction book, whether it's a memoir or a self-help book, you need some sort of an outline. You plan to follow it, but you realize a lot of words are required between each outline point, and the idea of filling up those empty spaces makes you nervous. Plunge in. Here are some reassuring truths. As I mentioned above, experienced writers fear those first words as much as the beginner. You're in good company. Also, in the first draft, you don't have to worry about the grammar and punctuation and spelling errors. If your word processing program has a feature that helpfully points out your errors, turn it on. Write, and if you falter, remind yourself this is a first draft. It helps to write in large letters on a blank piece of paper, "This is the first draft." Look at that message often. When social media beckons, don't let yourself get distracted. If social media calls you, don't answer. Better yet, turn off social media and email notifications. It's an excuse to avoid writing. Sometimes your avoidance mechanisms use subtle messages. You're writing away and you realize you should check some facts. Don't check them now. Write yourself a note. In 2018, the percentage of women-owned businesses was ... Fact check this. When you're finished your writing for the day, go back to check all the facts that you needed to fill in the draft. Set reasonable time limits. Beginning writers often sabotage themselves by setting unrealistic time frames for their work. They may say, I'm going to write for 2 hours every evening when I get home from work. Then they get home, they have dinner, and they think about those 2 hours. They know they'll never get a job accomplished. They know they'll never last that long. Feeling discouraged, they begin to beat themselves up, and they end up not writing at all. Tell yourself instead that you'll write for whatever amount of time feels comfortable. If after that time has passed, you still want to write, do so and congratulate yourself for having passed the limit that you set. As you gain confidence, you'll be able to increase the amount of time that you write, but don't overdo it. And make reasonable contracts with others. I don't recommend beginning writers plan on writing a book with a publisher's deadline unless they've worked with a very experienced developmental editor or ghostwriter. If, however, you find yourself with a deadline, ask yourself if it's reasonable. Don't agree to it because you think you'll never get another chance, or because you want to please the editor or publisher. The best way to fulfill your fears is to fail to meet the deadline. You will also create unnecessary and harmful stress in your life. You can learn to like and even love writing if you're kind to yourself when you're learning. Always ask yourself, am I comfortable? Are the ideas flowing? If the answer is yes, continue and continue. I've got a handy quick guide tool for you at patiyer.com. It'll move you right through the process of planning your book. Request our Secrets of Writing a Book at patiyer.com.